to see you face off against more pros. But guys, of course, let's focus on these players as well. These guys are in the round of 16. Winner goes to the round of 8, where they will fight for a spot in the semifinals in the future. But they have to focus on the present right now. Now, we do want to reassure you guys that these replays were played, or sorry, these games were played about an hour ago. These replays are very fresh. So even though, yes, we're casting from replays, it's very relevant. In fact, it's as relevant can be.
That's exactly right. They actually get put into our folder while we're actually casting the match right
Yes,
before.
actually, we don't need. That's why we can't tell you what the next series is, because we don't know. We know that other players are in the round of 16. Like, people were talking about Symbol being in the round of 16, and other people like Crane or ASD. We don't know who wins. We don't know what's going on, but we'll let you know, and that's kind of the fun of it. That's kind of the fun of the qualifiers as well. We have these people that enter, and everyone expects them to do well. Like, I thought Coco would do really well. I thought, people think STC from Quantic would go really far. Even Symbol. But who are these guys, the Ragnarok, the Revivals, that people didn't really know until maybe just a couple weeks ago? They're the ones making splashes.
Oh, yeah. You got to be scared about them, but Ragnarok is up 1-0 in this best of 3. He's spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Daybreak as the blue Zerg against Revival, the red Zerg in the top right-hand corner. You know, a lot of people have theorycraft how to actually beat that style with Ultra Zergling Infestor. I think the most efficient way that we've seen in the past so far has been to go Spinecrawlers. Spinecrawlers actually proved to be a pretty stable force in actually defending against Ultras. Yeah. Of course, you got to get a ton of them. And that actually allows you to slowly get that Infestor count. The Infestor is obviously so very important. But on a map like Entombed Valley, it can be very challenging to do something like that. Now, on Daybreak, can't. I think on Daybreak, it's much harder to go that Ultra style because there's these centered locations that you can put all your Spinecrawlers, namely in the centers over here, or even just splitting it up, defending your natural and defending your third base. Very possible ways at defeating Ultras, I think, and really establishing positions where they cannot actually attack into.
That's right, and I think, especially on a map like Daybreak, where we see a lot of Spinecrawler defenses, especially up the ramp of the natural, right by where Revival's Overlord is. That's actually kind of what we're seeing with mass Infestor kind of play, where they drop things. A lot of drop play is actually very popular on Daybreak and ZVZ if the game develops enough, where you can keep an Overlord. We thought keeping Overlords and dropping in Entombed Valley was pretty bad. Daybreak has more airspace, so you can really exploit that as well.
Yeah, and for now, I mean, both these players are actually just going to do the absolute standard. Yes, there are possibilities of all-ins, but for the most part, what we have is very passive games. A lot of these matchups have been figured out on Daybreak to have your Overlords in the perfect positions to see if there are any potential all-ins. If not, there's normally, for both the players, an optimal way of playing to get the quick third base, to saturate all your bases as fast as possible, and to just play defensive 3 base until they get their 4th base, really. And then play defensive 4 base until they max out.
Yeah, until they get their the 200 army, and then just start taking 5th bases and gases from that point on. A little bit of Zergling harassment, nice drone pick off there from Ragnarok, and of course Ragnarok has been the one a little bit more aggressive. Revival trying to play defensive in this case. And you can see that Revival is also just trying to drone up and get everything up. He did go for his hatchery a little bit earlier. He does have more drones. But honestly, those kinds of small things are very minuscule nowadays in the early ZVZ. A lot of people used to think it made the biggest difference, but that was back with early Zergling Baneling Wars. And now with the defensibility plus Baneling, Spinecrawlers, and Queens, you can kind of play a little bit greedier.
You know, that even though Terrans have had a really tough time at actually adjusting back to a winning rate against Zergs.
Oh, I think Andre, don't you see what David Kim wrote, man? Yeah. TVZ is fine.
I actually believe that.
I do too. I think TVZ is fine.
Yeah. If anything, I still think Terran have a little bit of an advantage in that matchup.
Oh, really?
Dare I say it?
Oh, Gretorp.
Dare I say it?
Oh, Gretorp.
Yeah, I think.
Is that why Alive beat you?
Yeah, man. They're so OP.
Yeah, no. See us Alive. That's the reason why.
You know, ever since Raven and Battlecruisers actually got into the fray, I really feel like TVZ is pretty manageable.
It's always the challenge though to get to that point. A lot of cool builds surface, you know, like the huge Zergling Banelink +2 timings that a lot of Zergs do in that matchup. And even in ZVZ, you know, Mr. Bitter has a build where he just goes mass upgrades very early on, and he goes for things like base infestor base. But in fact, we're seeing very similar builds to the first game as well. We see Revival dropping that early infestation pick, going for a quick lair. But Ragnarok's going for mutas once again. And you know what? His mutas were pretty effective last time. Only made around 8 or 9, and then switched directly back into infestors.
The difference on this map, it's a lot farther to actually get to your third base, so Revival might have a couple of difficulties actually defending this as time goes on for a little bit. But for the most part, as you can see, both these players are taking their third bases. If I had to actually give an advantage to whoever, I would actually give it to Ragnarok in this point. He got a really fast lair. I don't think Revival actually expects the lair to be out. So, oh no, he scouted and saw it. Excuse me. So I guess he does see this, but still, it is a very fast lair. That means obviously mutas are just going to scatter the field, really shut down a lot of position. And the power of Zergling Baneling Muta over on this right-hand side is actually going to be pretty potent.
Yeah.
And what Ragnarok is going to try to do is really focus on limiting that third base from actually going up.
Well, you know, because Daybreak is really long, that empowers mutas. You know, counterattack paths, mutas can easily shut it down. Like these Banelings, for example, as long as Ragnarok can just pick them off, then easy peasy, no harm, no foul. You know, and as a result, it's really hard for ground-based armies to really form counterattacks without mutas being able to respond very nicely.
I love what Revival is doing right now, though. He's saving up in all these roaches, and he's going to prepare for a big counterattack. I do believe. I could be wrong. He might just be playing this defensive. But it feels like, yes, he is. He's going to move out, and this is going to put the mutas in a really tough position because they have to actually fall back and keep control on these roaches. And, you know, the roach count is high enough where I think he might actually take this third base down. He will lose all the roaches, but what he's looking to do is get that hard counter to those mutas, which are, in fact, those infestors. Once he actually establishes them, he'll be in a good position. But no, he backs up. And he goes into the natural at the same time. Yeah,
and into the natural he goes, but just as quick as he gets there, he leaves just because of the Zergling reinforcements. Great job here from Ragnarok. Now, again, it's always tough to see who is really stronger in a straight-up fight because supply is very... It doesn't tell everything because, and Mr. Bitter would be the first to tell you, that roaches are supply heavy because they have 2 per egg, but Zerglings are 2 per egg. No, sorry. Yeah, they're 2 Zerglings per 1 supply as well. So even though you might say like, wow, supply counts are very different, you have to kind of have to be very wary of that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just look at last game actually, Frodan. Oh, this is not good. Taking out the queen and a couple of drones here, of course. Now taking out the spore crawler. The fact of the matter is he's doing a lot of damage, baiting a lot of fungals. That's going to help because it really says Ragnarok, I don't have to worry about any potential pushes because you've burnt so much stuff right now. You've lost a lot of economy. I've only lost minerals. You have no potential at actually attacking, which it's Daybreak, whoever has a potential of actually attacking. But look at this. Ragnarok is actually remassing in roaches rather than going for something like infestors. That's a big difference over here. And I'll explain why in a little bit as these mutas actually come in yet again. But, you know, the main reason why you go roaches instead of going infestors, yes, it gives you the potential to attack, but establishing your 4th base with only infestors is almost impossible. Unlike last game, obviously you can just sit, and you don't have to worry about a thing, but, ooh, Ragnarok, I love this. He's baiting so much attention on this top-hand side, and the roaches are going completely underscouted.
And he's forcing fungal out of his infestors. Look, he's only got about 3 fungals left. Oh, wait. He's got no fungals left. In fact, these roaches have free reign over the third.
God.
And Revival is completely falling for the trap card. And the roaches are going straight for the infestors as well. 2 infestors drop immediately. And Ragnarok really wants to target the rest of them as well. Kills the third.
Gets the third. Nice.
Ooh. Very, very nice.
And the rest of the roaches obviously cleaning up the third base. This is just beautiful. Ragnarok is... I don't even need to tell you guys. He's super far ahead. Now establishing his 5th and 6th gas, which is so very important. Your gas timings, ladies and gentlemen, just as important as your +2 building armor. And from here on out, Revival is playing a base down, 50% economy behind. And that is no bueno.
Oh, man, just picking off more and more stuff. Ragnarok optimizing everything. Now, one thing that Revival has gone in his favor is that he did keep his good amount of drones alive. It's 68 to 54. But, I mean, honestly, Ragnarok's production capability way heavily outweighs his opponent at this point. And the fact that he's able to keep the infestor count low when he's been at an infestor disadvantage. And if you can just keep the infestor counts and just trade a couple roaches here and there, then eventually when you catch up in the tech, you just have a larger army overall. So this is a really good spot for Ragnarok to be in. Even though Revival supply seems pretty nice and he has a good drone count, I like Ragnarok's spot. And I have to say that he's been playing very well. Even though Revival has been trying to put up very well with the mirrors as well, minimizing their damage.
Not going to lie, I love Dark's play a little bit better, but Ragnarok's still doing an amazing job. Splitting up his roaches, making sure he won't be fungled because there is a little bit of collision problems that happen with the AI. They can actually be a very difficult problem. Of course, one fungal could mean you lose, 10 supply, 20 supply, whatever it might be, however many roaches you actually catch. We're going to see Revival's push, and this needs to be successful. He basically needs to kill his opponent's army completely, and from there just take out the third base. We're going to see that right now. It looks like Revival has a great position. Those Hydras help out so very much, but there is a counterattack. And, oh my god, from the backside!
Yes! The flank immediately exposed as the Infestors drop almost immediately. The Hydra is also trying to add a lot of damage. The drone's coming in to fight Andre, but I mean, that's really what he wants to do at this point, because if he crushes his army, then Ragnarok will be really nice because he dealt it once again with the Infestor count. Ragnarok pushes back Revival and lives for his third live to see another day. And during all this, of course, Ragnarok has basically been catching up in the Infestor count himself. Great job. Even though, that was a great position from Revival, and he did kill a lot of drones. Killed 24 drones.
Income tab shows 68 to 49. So as you were saying before, Revival retaining his drones was just so powerful. Obviously, that snowballed into him being able to do pretty substantial damage to that third base. We're going to trade a little bit right here. Revival has the slight advantage in upgrades. That's going to help quite substantially.
Oh, yikes. In fact, those upgrades +2 really coming into play here as the Roaches with the better concave from the low ground from Revival able to push back in Ragnarok because he overextended a little bit. Was going to lose these Infestors as well. Needs to drop an Emergency Fungal, but he can't. He just drops one, but two die immediately. And all of a sudden, Revival is the one that looks like he has momentum coming on, but again, he has his fourth base up before his opponent, and he is starting to mine from it, and he's keeping pressure away from it. Another Infestor drops as well. Great plays from Revival, returning the favor that Ragnarok paid him earlier this game.
You definitely see the power of Infestors in this game. It speaks a ton, I think, over and over and over again. Revival seem to be in just the worst position ever. Economic behind, 3 base to 2 base, a ton of roaches out for Ragnarok. Those Infestors just cleaning up everything over here at this third base location. But it's kind of transposed to Roach versus Roach for quite a long time. The big advantage that Revival has this time around, look, he actually took his fourth base on the bottom right-hand side, and it looks like he's about to saturate right now. He needs to be careful. A lot of that larva was committed to non-Roach units, and you can see why Ragnarok is being able to push back right now.
Yeah, this is so tough. Just like you said, Andre, it's always really hard to attack into Daybreak. The spots you can, in terms of the third and the natural, both have narrow choke areas where you have to be very cautious not to get fungled. And honestly, people say, well, you know, if I have an advantage, shouldn't you just push? Well, no, you don't know if the Infestor is sitting behind there and just locks down everything. Vision is very hard to come by, especially in this stage of the game. And that's why it's really impressive that Ragnarok has a lot of vision everywhere. He sees the fourth base in the bottom right now. He's going to try to focus a lot of his aggression around there, or he's going to try to just go straight up to the top of the map here. Oh, never mind. He's pulling back. I thought he was going to go for an attack, which I don't know if he should have.
I think Ragnarok should just defend. Actually, both these players should just defend from now.
Well, Revival, definitely. He's a base ahead, and he's going for another one.
But Revival, yeah, for sure he should just defend, because what's going to happen is his supply just materializes into a higher Infestor count than his opponent because of that gas advantage that he has. Ragnarok is being a little bit cheeky here, trying to deny some of the bases, but might get the Infestor. Yes, it does. Oh, wow. Very uncoordinated attack by Revival. He actually has a ton of roaches taking a lot more damage than they should be. But you can see just the mass of Revival really speaking so much in this particular battle.
Yeah. Just had a lot more because he's able to keep on 4 hatchery production. That double expansion really paying off. And Ragnarok's Infestors are all cornered. In fact, he's not even paying attention to them, trying to burrow and run with them, but Revival's got the detection necessary to really chase it down. The reinforcement roaches really pushing back the army as well, though, because now Ragnarok's upgrades are about the same. So, Revival doesn't really have the ability to just press that advantage.
That's exactly. Oh, the Infestors! We're going to pop out a couple of infested Terrans, but that's going to be a GG gets called out.
Wow.
Just way too far behind. There was also a Zergling counterattack that I missed in the main base. But absolutely phenomenal play coming out from Revival this time around.
I was really impressed because there's no doubt when you kill that third and you kill that many infestors in trade and able to get out, you are ahead. But Revival keeping that drone count alive, man. Whoa. I mean, he had a 20 drone advantage for a long time. And then he said, well, I'm going to push the third, force you to train drones out again, keep the pressure away from my 4th base, because that's kind of the idea. You don't fully commit. He only committed some. The vast majority of his army, but eventually kept something enough back at home. Great job by Revival in the end. Ties up the series, Andre, and sets it to game number 3.
Yeah, I really feel like there was a point where after he killed the 3rd base, he should just back up, put down spine crawlers. I can't talk about this enough, man.
Spine crawlers are pretty good.
Every single one of my matchups, I use so many spine crawlers. It's because they're so powerful. It's because, they're not subject to force yields or fungal growths or, well, stim marines. Yeah, they are. But, spine crawlers are so powerful in those situations. And it really gives you some sort of base to actually put all your minerals in that are efficient, not Zerglings, and then you can get that infestor count up in time. Revival, I feel like if you put down spine crawlers, it's really tough, but he would be able to defend that one push really efficiently. He wouldn't have to trade out drones and would have just gone ahead for the win.
Let's go ahead and take a break while we figure out what map's going to be for number 3. We'll find out what happens. Who takes it? Who advances to the quarterfinals? We'll find out after this commercial.